Hello and thanks for staying with us on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balakbobo. What a week it has been. Tonight our conversation will dwell, across some of the countries in Africa. We'll try to look at some of the major issues, over the past week and of course even this week. So our focus, of course, will hinge on some of the talking points that is displayed on your screen. First, we'll talk about the foiled coup attempt in DR Congo, and then the ban on Zuma to contest election in South Africa, and also Sonko's bid to reassess ties with France. How possible is that going to be? Well, our guest, Austin Osage, who is a political analyst and also a UN peace ambassador, will be helping us make sense of some of the latest developments in African politics. We'll be right back to break it all down. Stay with us. Good to have you with us. We begin from DR Congo, where security forces thwarted a coup attempt in the Democratic Republic of Congo on Sunday, which armed men targeted the homes of top officials and briefly occupied the office of the presidency in the capital city of Kinshasa. Now, in the early hours of Sunday, a group of around 50 men armed in camouflage fatigues attacked the residencies of the prime minister, the defense minister, and a senior politician tipped to become speaker of parliament, according to the army. Now, authorities called it an attempted coup, and the assailants breached the Palais de la Nation, a grand porticoed building in central Kinshasa that houses the office of President Felix Tshisekedi. And videos shared online show that, of course, they have not been verified, but armed men were milling around the entrance of the presidency, whose glass doors have been smashed, and they hoisted the flag of the Zaire, Congo's former name. One shouts, "Felix, we're coming for you." Others chanting, "Long live Zaire." But soon after, security forces moved in, killing the group's leader, US-based Congolese politician Christian Malanga, and 3 others. Around 40 others were also arrested, the army said on their website. Malanga, 41, referred to himself as the president of the new Zaire and the head of a government in exile. The site does not mention plans to seize power by force, but outlines Malanga's vision for the countries under his leadership. And also an online biography describes him settling in the United States as a child refugee returning to Congo to serve as an officer fighting rebels in the east and campaigning to stoke opposition to the current Congolese political class, which he accuses of corruption and mismanagement. Malanga, who had previously threatened on social media to overthrow Tshisekedi, first attempted an aborted coup in 2017, according to the spokesperson Sylvian Ekanga. Now, Congo authorities said participants in the coup attempt included foreigners and Congolese citizens. We have 3 U.S. citizens, including Malanga's son, were among those detained, and the army shared a video of a large group of detained alleged participants in the coup sitting on the ground as armed guards stood by, and they were wearing camouflage and had Zaire flags dropped on their shoulders. 2 other detainees in the video appear to be white men. One had bruises around his eyes and others face, covered with blood. And the drama comes, at quite a delicate time for President Tshisekedi, who is struggling to curb a 2-year offensive by Rwanda-backed rebels in the eastern Congo that threatens to spill over into a broader conflict. Now, 5 months after Tshisekedi's disputed re-election, the ruling coalition has failed to form a government due to internal rivalries over jobs despite a large majority in our parliament. Of course, with us in the studio to discuss all of this is Ambassador Austin Osage. Good to have you once again on Politics Now. Yeah, I always appreciate, your thoughts on African politics and helping us break down what is going on. One would think that coming from 2023, the year where we had coups in Niger, Gabon, and some other nations like that, we were thinking that, this is something that is far behind us, especially given some of the efforts that President Tinubu, as a chairperson of ECOWAS, tried to make. He tried the force, method, but it did not work. And then he decided, okay, the diplomatic way, to convince, some of the people from these Sahel nations to come back to democratic governance. And now we're seeing this attempted coup, or it's been called a foiled coup attempt in DR Congo. What do you make of the dynamics of what is playing over there, considering the fact that, Skedi has been, been around for some time?
Yes, just like you said already, since 2023 has been a kind of paradigm shift from Niger to Mali to Burkina Faso, even to Congo, Rwanda and all that. That's even to Uganda. If you study the new dynamics of politics, now people are seeing democracy from a very different angle now, unlike before. Because if you look at it, in Burkina Faso, the reason those military gave to overthrow power was that they are not feeling the impact of democracy and all that. And that's why I see that if you look at the headlines of Nigeria today, the president of Nigeria yesterday in a program represented by the vice president was saying that there's a new, there's a, how do I put it? There's a new, I just want to phrase it just the way he put it, new ways, or there's a reason for African synergy probably to build war against this particular military coup invasion. So what's really happened, I think, to me is when you look at the African forces, I'm talking about the military forces, it's like we are still trying to go back to that same old ways of forcefully taking of power. Yes, in that regards, it's not properly right. But at the same time, look at the people that we say we are practicing democracy in Africa too. Are we actually practicing democracy?
I had a guest the last time we talked about the Chad elections, and this point you raised was something that he mentioned. And when we look at it critically, there's just a whole lot of sense in it. Like even the countries that are practicing
democracy,
the democracy that was given to us by the white man.
Is even real democracy?
What are the benefits?
And when you look at it, because when you have to look at the root causes of somebody wants to seize power and all that. For instance, let me give you, I think in just our neighboring country here, is it Togo? I think Togo, where the president is trying to amend the constitution. The father of state, how many years? So the family will be staying for 62 years. He has been the president since 2009. The father died, he came in. The father spent that many years. So
even in Chad, to the same thing.
Even in Chad, I'm just saying this one that they have not even overthrown now. But look at what he's trying to do. Now he's trying to see how he can amend a constitution whereby he's going to, the parliament will not be the one to appoint the prime minister. Prime minister will not have any, and he's even trying to bring probably his nephew or something like that as to head the parliament there, And now when you head the parliament, then subsequent, there will not be election. Subsequent, the parliament will decide who will become the president. To me, we continue to see these kind of problems until I think the right thing is done. 2 days ago, our former president, which I want to describe as the father of African politics, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, was saying a lot of things which I want to align with his principle that we just have to actually look at the democracy that was given to us. And we actually practice, which where it's easy for him to say,
he was once a military leader.
During his own, even as a civilian president, he was trying to amend the third term, and assuming he has succeeded in third term, by now we won't even be discussing.
So that goes to show there's something about being in power and wanting to stay in power.
That has been been a beam, because if you look at what is happening in DR Congo today, the DR Congo problem, when I try to check what is happening there, I discover it's a long age problem, crisis and all that. Both the rebel and all, because what are the rebels saying? The rebels are looking at, and to the fact of it, DR Congo are blessed naturally. They have everything in quantum. I mean, I think they should be, if you fact check it, I think they should be the largest in Africa. They have a deposit of gold, diamond, and everything.
They're still battling, with a lot of.
That's what I'm not saying. So if you look at it, even sometimes some of the leaders, they are even trying to probably that have at the past. They will be able to know how to harness the resources they have and all that.
So that gives rise for people to just wake up one day and say, okay, it's time to take away power.
No, not really, because why the president of Nigeria is trying to, because around him now, the agitation that people are not comfortable with what's going on and all that. Now he's trying to see how they can form a united force, army, that is military force, to curb this
regional
security force, whereby they come to guide it so that no country can just be taken up.
But if a country doesn't want to be a part of the ECOWAS, that will not work.
No, not really. What they are trying to canvass for is not even only in ECOWAS. We are talking about, because when you look at many countries that might spring up tomorrow, they may not really be an ECOWAS country now. They may not really be, because the next challenge in the next 10 years that will battle, or that will confront Africans now is the issues of taking up power, because the people that even came in through power through military coup, when they got there, they don't want to leave. So it has been a challenge. So until we'll be able to get what is the solution? What is it's not going to even be a tentative, maybe it's going to be a permanent solution. Because we'll get a permanent solution to having that rebate, having that rethink of how do we focus on how to develop Africa? We are not going anywhere.
Now, do you think that this coup attempt, is going to encourage more coup attempts? Because, I mean, when you have somebody like Christian Malanga, who was killed as a result of this coup attempt, you kind of make him a martyr, because when someone dies for a cause, people tend to honor them and want to live up to some of their ideals. So could you see a trend, that could erupt as a result of what has played out so far? Are you scared or worried for DR Congo?
Just this morning now, I saw the family of Christian Malanga gathering to mourn him, and they are giving statements there. Automatically, Malanga is just like a sacrificial lamb now. He has come on board. There are a lot of groups that want to spring up, and they will be. It's just like, let me give you an example now of Nigeria. When Muhammad Yusuf was killed, the leader of Boko Haram was killed in 2019, in 2009. 2009 was killed. This is 2024. We are still battling Boko Haram. A lot of group have what? Spring up. See, tomorrow, we are still battling in 2009, only came, just like Christian Malanga came in to say, okay, we want to overthrow power. Before you know, I mark this word, in the next 10 years, you see. So there is going to continue to be unrest there until the authority there do the needful. And what is the needful? It's just a common sense. Something that, whether you like it
good
or
governance.
Just good.
That's what people are asking. But do you think Kiskedi is awoken to this reality that he really needs to deliver? Because there are two ways you can look at it. You can say, okay, I want to continue to strengthen my security, parameters to ensure that this doesn't occur again, or I actually want to deliver on good governance. What do you think is the major challenge for him?
The major challenge is that if you look at Kiskedi, Felix Kiskedi is somebody that, how do I describe him? He's not versatile. We have a lot of African presidents that they are very docile presidents. Sometimes you have a problem as a leader of a country, as a leader of a group, when you don't know what to do. It's just simple. It's just we are talking about, okay, let me give you an example of Muammar Gaddafi. At least I followed up in politics then I was even in the studio then to discuss before he was killed in 2010. What are we discussing? What we are saying is this: we need a visionary leader in Africa, a leader that can. Okay, so Mandela today is there. We are talking about people like Mandela and Co. These are people that have vision for their country. These are people that, irrespective of their vision and all that, they ensure that the welfare of their people are paramount. When I look at scale, there is not until this coup. How many people have heard about his name?
All we hear daily is just the crisis.
Because
in DRC.
The crisis will continue. Because I was listening to a news from Congo this morning. What is the problem? The problem has been the same complaint. So when you have a leader, that's why I said there are going to be a paradigm shift. Because until you have a leader that is informed or that are informed about what is happening within their domain, then we can move forward. If not, it's going to be the same story. Christian Malanga now, as he sits today, I saw this because I was thinking maybe probably the family would differentiate themselves from him and all that. But our group that are speaking now, and they are Congo now. They identify with him. Yes. The only thing, because for Kiskedi to know that there's a problem, because for them to be able to penetrate to the presidential lodge, then that tells you that there are problems there.
And given the surrounding countries, like Niger, they have, moved from democratic governance to, a junta-led form of government.
Right.
Do you think that puts more pressure on Kiskedi? Because there seems to be like an alignment amongst these nations, even with their ties to Russia, in how they want to beef up security to deal with some of the terrorist activities in that particular region.
There is. There's not too much story. There is, because if you look at him, it's just that it's going to be, the coup did not succeed. If the coup has succeeded, by now you see those presidents around the jail and Mali and the rest, they will have gone and visit him. If he has succeeded, they will have even congratulated him. So meaning that this kind of coup, you see them over 50 wearing camouflage and all that, and they got access. Just like somebody got access to presidential villa in Nigeria. So what are you going to say? Where there's paraphilias of a security guard before you can, there's first gate, there's second gate before you get to the main. And these people got access to the main gate. The main door was destroyed. That is the main door. And they were able to remove the flag and hoist their flag and start. So before that, so I'm sure probably maybe within the group too, there are problems probably because for them to have come, the security even came later probably to overpower them and gone down assuming I think it was that less security expert to explain that killing Christian Malanga is best for them, because if they have kept him and it was like arrested, one day they'll frame. So they believe that just let's take this so that we can be discussing.
One thing very striking in the report was the fact that there were 2 U.S. citizens, 3 U.S. citizens. Now, it asks the question, how did that happen? I'm very, very curious, and I'm sure lots of our viewers out there too are very curious, because when we talk about coup, it seems to be like, okay, they want to liberate themselves from the hold of French government. But now we're seeing foreign, citizens involved in this. What does that change the dynamics, of what coup and who is behind it?
I would not really, because when I go through that story too, what I saw there was probably someone that have stayed in the US, and someone that have been on social media probably and all that. Definitely is going to have that kind of support. There are many people living in Nigeria today. They have allies, they have supporters.
So that's the situation you're reasoning to be. You don't believe it's more than that.
One of them, I think, Taylor Thompson, one of the white guy there, when they traced the whole thing, I think according to the military spokesperson in DR Congo, there was no official probably support or probably American support. No. There was none. According to them, Christian Malanga claimed he
grew up in the U.S.
Yes.
as a refugee.
Yes. According to him.
Would that be is that the explanation
I think
that you're thinking?
that is just because, according to him, he claimed that he had a U.S. Support. But the U.S. official, according to them, have issued a statement that they don't have anything to do with him. But notwithstanding, a coup like this, until it succeeds, is a failed. We are discussing here because it's a failure. If it was a successful coup, the main actor will have come out and said this is the reason, and probably giving you a body language of those are. But the main person to discuss this is late, is dead. So, but to us as an analyst,
we can only speculate.
Yes, we can only, and our speculation is that it's going to give birth probably to some other coup. It might not really be their Congo now, but across Africa. Because until we change that mentality of I want to remain in power, I don't want to do anything. Okay, imagine.
You made mention someone like Mandela in South Africa, because even after the whole apartheid crisis, South Africans were thinking he was still going to remain in power. If he wanted to remain in power, I don't think the South African people would have been, will have any challenge about that, because this was someone who gave his life, for freedom rights movements and all of that. But he willingly, let go so that other people could come into power. Yes. And continue with governance. But that is not a trend that we have seen, in the West African region. And why do you think that is?
That's why I'm saying that this is a matter of greed, and probably most unfortunate leaders are not leaders that are prepared. Nelson Mandela have 5 years, and immediately after the 5 years, he brought Toby Mbeki, which is his deputy, to continue. People are even surprised that there were protests then. Now let him complete, because he has 2 tenors, he can revive another. He said no, that you have to bring on people to ensure that, because the future belongs to the young one, the younger one coming. And look at it today. How many African leaders that we accuse? Look, we are just saying this. Look at the foreign president and all that, or this Western president, and even in America, we have seen some senators, some House of Rep member in those countries that a little accusation, they resign probably to give room for investigation and all that. But we have seen presidents here that, look at Yahya of Gambia. He lost the election. He conducted, after delaying the election more than 3 or 4 times, he finally conducted the election. He lost the election, and he refused to leave power until he was bundled out. So to me, it has been that kind of ways whereby we are, as a president, you want to remain there and ensure that your family, probably a son that you just gave birth to, wants to take over from you. It's not going to work. So whether we like it or not, this is Africa. And the younger one now, it's even better now. But the one coming now, I not even want to listen, because their blood is very hot. This Gen Z generation now. So to me, until we have a president or a leader in Africa that believes that after serving my tenure, the next thing is for me to leave, and probably encourage. And before you leave, try and have a programs that have a continuity. It's not this ideology of all this African, especially mostly Nigeria in our country here, whereby people want to blame the past. Because if in the process of campaigning and all that, if you know that the person you are bringing, he doesn't have the capacity, there's no need.
Okay. All right. We've got to move on with the conversation. Talking about, Nelson Mandela, South Africa has been in the news on the 29th. So happens to be the same date that President Tinubu will mark 1 year in office. South Africa will be heading to the polls. And we got the report of the news that South Africa's highest court barred former President Jacob Zuma from running for parliament in next week's election. The Constitutional Court ruled that his 15-month prison sentence for contempt of court disqualified him. Zuma was convicted in 2021 for refusing to testify at an inquiry investigating corruption during his presidency, which ended in 2018. He has been campaigning under the banner of the newly formed Wokonto Weziwe MK party after falling out with the governing African National Congress, ANC. And in court, court, his lawyers had argued that because he was released after 3 months in prison by his successor, President Cyril Ramaphosa, the rest of his sentence was cancelled. Let's take a listen to what the court said.
The court concludes that Mr. Zuma was convicted of an offence and sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment for the purposes of Section 47(1)(e) of the Constitution, and is accordingly not eligible to be a member of and not qualified to stand for election to the National Assembly until 5 years have elapsed since the completion of his sentence. The form for a candidate list is prescribed in Appendix 1 to the regulations concerning the submission of lists of candidates 2004. It requires that a party's list must include an undertaking from a party representative that, and I quote, each candidate on the list is qualified to stand for election in terms of Section 47 of the Constitution, close quotes. The court finds that in terms of these provisions of the Electoral Act, the Commission is empowered to determine before the election qualification for membership of the National Assembly. In respect of the merits, this court finds that the purpose of the disqualification in Section 47(1)(e) is aimed at maintaining the integrity of South Africa's democratic regime, which is
this is the highest court in the land. We can't challenge this decision, but we'll make our decision as an executive what to do from here onwards, dictated by Jacob Zuma.
I think the decision basically says President Zuma is not going to go to parliament. But the decision in MK is simple. If you are looking for 2/3 majority in order to change the constitution.
Yes, that's it.
Now, it is when we have changed the constitution that President Zuma goes to
All right,
parliament.
that was some of the reactions of the representative of the MK party to the ban coming from the highest court in South Africa against Jacob Zuma. Ambassador, big blow to Zuma. Some people were really excited for him, like he was going to have a comeback, which for me was pretty shocking given the corruption allegations that led to his time in prison and the probe that went on. And some were thinking he was siding with, with the white majority party in South Africa to kind of weaken, the votes that the ANC has consistently had over the years during previous elections in the country. What is your reaction to this new change in the dynamics of what is going on in South African politics?
Just like what we are saying before now, you can see the greed of African leaders. But I saw the news last.
So when you say greed on whose part now? Cyril or Zuma?
On Zuma. Someone like Zuma should not even think of. I don't know. You see, to be realistic, as a former president, there are some charges he has not even able to answer now. They are still in court. His tenure was full of corruption, which the court have not discharged him. So I will be surprised that if someone, I don't know, sometimes you have too much money. You have too much money, probably that money might be, you just want to spend money, because if you see some of his supporters today, probably maybe the money is throwing, because for you to fund a party, we all know in Africa, in Nigeria today, for you to form a party,
it takes a lot of money.
Because he has the money back. Because if not, you have served a prison. When I look this, when you see the sentence, they say it was, but the law said if for any, because you can't say you want to make law, you want to be a member of parliament, and you have served a prison. And is it kind of prison that Nelson Mandela we are just talking about went? No. This is a corrupt prison, because there was an inquiry that was set up. Apart of even he refused, there were wealthy allegations against him, which many never denied.
But prior to this, recall that the court, he had some legal victories still on his bid to be able to contest. But it's just that now the highest court in the land is saying no, you can't.
That is always like that, because at the lower court, where all Africans are now, we follow African politics. You hardly see a sitting or a money bag politician losing bid. It's very difficult. If you look at it, he got 4 bid, he got 4 judgments. Probably those lower judgments favored him. Probably got his way there. But at least, just like in Nigeria today, thank God we have a Supreme Court. But there are many cases Supreme Courts have been able to lay to rest. If not, there are many people that will still be fronting in Nigeria. But to me, it's an assault on democracy in Africa, whereby you are being charged as a former president. Probably there are questions you need to come and answer. And same you for, okay, if you are a good candidate, why the ANC isn't parading?
So what do you think was the game plan for Zuma? Because is it like, okay, I think I can do better than what I did in the past, or this was just more of like, let me just destabilize the ANC?
No, that has only been their excuse. Yeah, you came on the ANC now, and do you know how ANC formed? ANC is normal political party. Their leader become the president. You imagine. So you have gotten to a stage in your life. You have been a leader of the party, and they made you a president because the leader become the president. Now the leader for 9 years, you have been a leader for over 9 years, but at least 9 years as president. So you have been a leader as a president of the country. That same you was charged, was accused of embezzle and probably a lot of corruptions and all that. They took you to court. There was an inquiry set up for you to come, you refused. You are being sentenced to prison. You serve 3 months in prison. Probably you get your way because of the money bags, you came out. And look at what the judge was saying. You can see, but look at what his supporter is saying. Are they going to challenge the Supreme Court? No. But the issue is that his name is not going to be on the ballot, but his picture will be there. Or his picture will be on the ballot, but it's there, But to me, it's this. It called for African readiness, probably to take up challenges. Because we can't continue saying almost the same story, probably, and expect probably new things to happen. Until we have that mind, you have done your part, rest. Later, we have it in Nigeria too, whereby the people in the Senate, they are not useful. There are people in the House of Rep, there are even some assemblies that they are there because of the person that is backing them and all that, or because of their money. They keep on coming every time. And 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 16 years, nothing is being done. So their constituency will be at that perpetual mercy of them, and probably nothing will be done. So until we have that same thing we are discussing African issues, where Africa will take that bold step. I know. If I'm not fit, I should be able to call it, let me bring somebody.
So talking about the ANC now, this is most definitely a big win for them.
No, but
have they gotten to that part where they can be so comfortable?
No, not really, because even the Ramaphosa too have his own challenge, and even
there's been corruption allegations within his cabinet.
No, even right now, the tendency the election is next week, Saturday. The tendency that they are going to get 50% of the vote is not there as of today, as of this morning I checked. There's not there. So probably it has been that same story. Are you getting me now? But the few that probably they are pushing, there are very few. Probably they are the main consigned electorate. The other ones are the bigger players.
So what happens to the MK party movement?
No, definitely.
Are they going to go back to the ANC or side with the other opposition?
No, they will decide, because according to, you can see their general secretary probably said they're going to decide in some days to come, probably. I'm sure they can't go back to ANC because majority of them are ANC. And majority are even their Zuma allies, majority of them. So probably now that it's the end of the road for them in terms of their leaders to contest, probably African politics now.
To bring in another person.
African politics, they will never want
to.
But
would that have been the wiser decision for Zuma, instead of him, being the face of the party, maybe probably had gotten someone else, maybe younger, to stand with Ramaphosa? Would that have been a better play?
When the politics start playing, the first thought I had then was that he should bring, because
we look at South Africa has a very vibrant young population. No, if that would have been a good selling point.
That would have been even the win for them. But you know, as we are saying, that African with greed and all that, because that would have been the best for him to say, okay. And I'm sure he knows the constitution. He has a lawyer with him that are probably, but you know, sometimes some lawyers probably they want to feed and they won't even just tell you that. They will
just tell you what you want to hear.
No problem. I know the truth. Because I'm sure the case was in court. The lawyer will have advised him before the closing, because
because this is like a big PR damage.
Most of their what do you call it, the opportunities have closed now. Probably bringing candidate and all that. If not, I expect him, if he still wants to be relevant there, to bring a candidate like what Soko do in Senegal.
Yeah.
So when you know, because whether you like it or not, probably because South Africa is a little bit bigger and they see himself like a big man that can't just. But now this is the end of the road for him. And now that will really affect, because before now, people are chanting, people are tired of ANC too. A lot of people are tired of it, because it has been that normal cabal of a politics whereby probably you rise, okay, let us sit down and close these doors. Let some people that are not with us, let them be outside. Whatever we had to remain here, then we take it outside for them to. It has been there. But they are going to face that challenge probably this coming Saturday. They are going to see it. But it will have been a win for Zuma and his MK party to probably to bring.
But even if he contested or he was allowed to be on the ballot, do you think that he had any chance in winning the election?
He didn't have any chance.
But so, looking at the election coming up on Saturday, who do you think likely?
See my like list, he will win. Because now that they are this third force, and now they are in this arena, probably they might decide where to. But you know, election until that day.
You can't say. There's like 1 week left.
Yes, election.
Because when you look at what happened in Senegal, they barely had less than 20 days for the candidates to campaign.
Yes,
so who knows whatever storms.
18 days. In Senegal, they have 18 days to campaign. So
exactly. This one just a week. So you think it's possible for something to just change the dynamics?
Politics can change today. As he speaks now, before we go outside, you see probably something have been changed. It is possible. You know, that kind of something, you don't write them off. But to my own understanding with African politics, sometimes it's difficult. The big masters or the big boss always take.
And let's not forget the power of incumbency.
No, definitely, that is what they are even banking on. What I mean is that the most, ANC is the biggest political party in South Africa, so it's just that now that people are feeling like, man, we are tired of you. So if not, if you look at the previous election, they won with clear margin and all that.
Okay, Honorable, we've got one more talking point, still talking about our focus on African politics, and that has to do with Senegal. Of course, the Prime Minister, Ousmane Sonko, raised the possibility of closing French military bases in the West African country on Thursday in a wide-ranging speech that also touched on the Euro-backed CFA, franc currency, oil and gas deals, and LGBTQ rights. And Sonko, who is a firebrand politician, gained power when his hand-picked presidential candidate, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, won a decisive victory in March. He's known for criticizing perceived overreach by France in its former colony. Now, let's make this make sense. He was the one that, should have been president, if not for the fact that he was imprisoned. And then, he pushed, which, like we were saying, that should have been the pathway for Zuma, with the whole MK party fronting that he was doing in South Africa. But now you have someone like Ousmane Sonko, who, of course, as a nationalist, does not like some of the French, deals that have been going on in that nation, and now wants to pull away from it in terms of reassessing what France, wants to do with their country. You look at a situation like Niger, where, the former president, that was in prison during the course of the coup, will say France cannot do without Niger. Niger cannot do without France. So when you look at the long-standing relationship that these two nations have had, what is going to be that process with which they're going to start unbundling, probably some of the deals and other security ties, just like we've seen in Niger. The U.S. military equipments and officers, have fixed a date to move out from that particular region. How do you think this will play out? And is this the best option at this particular time?
I think I want to align with Sonko because that is just the best thing to do. They came in last month. According to the press release yesterday, the ties or the let me call it the ties they have with the electorate is this. That if you vote us,
this is what we're going to do.
And apart of other things probably that they are trying to put in place, regional cohesion, regional plannings and all that. The first step they are taking is what they told the electorate, that if you voted for us, we're already tired of fraying. Which is not, according to him, is not completely. But there are some activities that are major activities there.
They have to reassess it.
We have to reassess it. We have to reassess what are we having here, what is this thing here. So, to me, this is our president, these are the leaders that know what they are doing. Just in a month, they came into power. They are trying to, you see, the president has visited Nigeria. So I'm sure he's going around probably to get the support of some other African countries. It's all like before now. African country president, those old men, they will win the election. The next thing probably to go and relax all this abroad and all that. And look at the president. He said, I don't want this cheering me, this hailing me at the airport and all that. No. I just want to do the work I was hired to do. And the same thing, the prime minister. I don't want this fanfare, paparazzi, and all that. Let's come. So to me, this is how presidents should operate.
Now, how this is, carried out, or how this is undertaken, will require some high-level form of diplomacy.
Definitely.
Given someone like Sonko's background, I mean, he's a comrade, just like you are.
Yes.
That force and all of that. Do you think he really needs to be careful rather of how he goes about these diplomatic relations that he wants to reassess with France?
Definitely you have to be careful because no country is an island. No country can stand alone. That one is not possible. But probably if I'm in the show, you are my allies. I have to sit down with you for us because probably you can see a leader is not a leader to himself. You are a leader to people. And that's why we miss the leadership, probably understanding or definition. By the time you want to become a leader to yourself, like, okay, I'm in charge, I don't, automatically you can't get anything out of it. But when you believe that you are a leader of your people, you are a leader for people, automatically it's going to work. Like, see what is happening there now. They are trying to, but definitely I'm sure they have some intelligent people that are working with them, that they are in the same cabinet or parliament and all that. It's a normal understanding because, like what he said, if you look at those things that they itemize, probably they are gold, they are this, they are. Especially the LGTB, because according to them, they are religious country, apart of all other focus. They are focusing more on their religious too. That they are Muslim, they are religious, so there are some things that they will not even allow you to. Probably it's happening in France, it's not happening here. So which I believe they talked more about their cultural values, how they put it
and
more.
that they've been able to take care of it even before France even came into
their country. As a colonizer and all that. So they want to go back there. Even jokingly, he said they are polygamous.
But it takes two to tango. My question now is, how is France going to react to this? Because, they've been they were the colonizers of some of these countries that we've been talking about when we talk about West African politics. How do you think France is going to take all of this? Are they going to roll? Is it going to be easy to roll with this new dispensation?
For France to take it, that is not their concern. Because if you as a leader are waiting for France probably to be to be hugging you, to be playing with you when they are making you. Can you imagine that you get gold now? France take 95%, you are taking 5%. And you want to take back your 95% to give them 5%, and you think probably that kind of person will come and hug you. No.
I understand what you're saying, but you and I know that it's not going to be easy.
No, I've said it, that
yes.
In terms of being easy, that one is not there. But it's just like you want to take something, probably you want to repair something. In the process of repairing things, some people will not be happy. I will not expect France to be happy. And as a leader, you don't need to look at France whether they're happy or they're not.
We've seen nations.
But diplomatically,
yes.
What I'm trying to say is that diplomatically, they are going to ensure that probably they cannot operate alone and all that. But see, what we are canvassing for, probably me, for an opportunity, is you have to be thinking Africa. See, let me tell you, whether we like it or not, these white guys are not happy with you. Majority of them are just after what we got. Do you know that today, with the way God has blessed Africa, with the resources and all that we have, do you think we don't have all these resources and God just put us this one side? Do you think these guys will not want to even take us, like, probably to come and be working for them in their house? Majority of them are yeah. Okay, look at a lot of crimes. Let's come back to Nigeria. A lot of crime going on here and all that. I didn't know those Chinese, the illegal mining and all that. I didn't know those Chinese and those Indians and all that. Look at those people that are even operating a company, factory, manufacturing plants in Nigeria. Look at the way the inhuman treatment they are giving to all our citizens and all that,
which will require a lot of political will.
Whether you like it or not, these are things that you have to reassess, which I think the president of Nigeria should be thinking about this too, to reassess the activities of these guys. See, we can do without them. It's possible, but it's just that you can't completely say you don't want to, because we need synergies to work. But we can, at great length, we can do without these guys, and we are going to live well. Look at them, they need us more than we need them. Because just like Obasanjo was saying, as I said, he said we shouldn't just look as a dumping ground for a produce from a finished product. We shouldn't just be a manufacturer, a raw material for them. We can't continue to be so, and that is what these guys are. Because look at them, they are young people. And that's what we are saying, that as a leader...
A very important question I wanted to ask you was how this is going to impact the Sahel region. Because what Senegal is doing, it's admirable. And if it works out, even though it's just 70% or 60%, that could tell other nations, who are being led by juntas to kind of rethink their stance on what they actually want from democracy. Do you think that Senegal could be the roadmap for some of these countries to have a rethink?
If you look at Burkina Faso yesterday, they too have the president yesterday. They have given a J-term to some illegal activities and all that. They want to come back to Africa. They want to actually... So now, if you look at those Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic, they are not taking it lightly. These guys, they are all young guys, they actually mean business. Just yesterday, Burkina Faso, they read the riot act there. We don't do this, we don't do so. Probably they start from their people. And you know that here is a norms. You don't wear your shoe to come here. You, as the owner of the house, you are putting your shoe there. It will be difficult for any visitors probably to do thus. So now they want to start with Africa. So to me, it's already sending a signal. And that's why I tell you that.
Because I recall when Faye came to Nigeria, that was one of the things that President Tinubu, conversations he had with him, like, help us convince your brothers, to come back to the fold, which I think is doable if it all works out well.
Very, very doable, because right now, a lot of African youths are looking up to youth African president. Not just anyhow youth, but youth that actually have plans, youth that know what to do. It's not youth that just come in there and be talking, no. Youth with action, because so far the three countries that have been taken over of recently than a year now, probably Mali, Burkina Faso, and look at what they are doing greatly. The one that just came in last month, look at what they are doing. And unfortunately, these four countries have synonymous problems. What is the problem? France problem. France has been there on their neck. So at the point, France was pressing their neck, and it pressed it to an extent that they don't even know what to do. So the only thing they could do for now is to see, okay, France, thank you. We are about to die, but now we are trying to gain strength, probably to. But to me, I don't think it should be a complete fight to go after France, probably to. But diplomatically, they can have an understanding.
But we've seen it can actually get to that level, because we all know some of these colonial nations, it will be very, very difficult, because sometimes we're talking about neo-colonialism, not like physical bundling of people, selling them as slaves, taking up their property and all of that, but colonialism from the back door, which can also be avoided. Now, we've seen nations taking fellow nations to the International Criminal Court of Law, like we saw what South Africa did with Israel. Do you think it could get to that level where, if they are arguing and reassessing some of these deals and it doesn't pull through, they could play that card?
It will not. The thing is simple. The people that took over the power, that are in charge now, they are people who are solidly with them. It's this particular...
But what can the people do?
No. The issue is, even if there are dissenting voices, you will see it. We are discussing African issues.
But is it enough? Because when you look at the South Africa with Israel case, it helped global opinion, to change global opinion, to be more sympathetic, with Palestine. So in the same vein, if normal diplomatic relations don't work out and they want to play that card too, that could also help to shape the global opinion to, like, okay, free Senegal, France, free Senegal, and we'll begin to see something like that, which could, I'm not saying it will, because that of the one with South Africa and Israel case, even with the recent ruling, with over Israel, I mean, nothing is changed. Nothing seems to be changing, at least from the reports that we are getting. But I'm just saying, because are they prepared for the worst on how far they want to take it to win their control over the access to some of these resources that these two countries have had over the years? That's what all I'm saying. Are they ready to go far if it needs them, if it requires them to do that?
Definitely, because like what you said, definitely that one, there's no doubt, because just as I said earlier, now there's some ways you can't operate alone. Just like only you in this studio know anybody to support, you can't do all the job in the studio. The same thing is applied. But again, look at something. South African issue to Israel are different issues. South African was in Palestine probably during the apartheid and all that.
Yes.
That one is a personal
crimes
issue.
against humanity.
Yes.
That
was a personal issue, because a personal issue is that if they had their forefather or their fathers have a tie with Palestinians and all that, and they want to look back, just like Nigeria was their big brother.
Like helping a brother.
Yes. Just like Nigeria was their big brother when during the apartheid program, when probably we are trying to rally around to see how we. So just so tomorrow, if anybody is fighting Nigeria internationally, they can come and even to Senegal, Burkina Faso and the rest. Like South Africa is a big brother to them. South Africa politics and economy and all the rest today have gone far down to us.
But this time around, it is Senegal itself that will have to do the fight.
That's what I'm saying.
For herself.
Yes. Well, then that's why we are saying that they want to build a regional synergies whereby, as Africans, whether you like it or not, you must have to support your brother. I get it. But I'm sure France, the fight now, France alone cannot stand it, because France has been the last colony that are still kind of trying to
embedded in the activities
all these
of this country.
There are almost everybody. I think Gabon, Mauritius and the rest. It was Portugal that colonized them for long. Angola, Portugal, they have left for a long time. They have allowed them to. UK colonized Nigeria. Just like, but they too, somebody colonized them. So almost everybody, somebody. So everybody have released the rope and say, "Cool, you can go and get you are a big brother already." But so France, that is why you see that up till now they can't fight, because the fight will be very difficult to fight those countries, and that's why those countries have, and that's why I said
There
earlier,
seems to be like an
that's why I said earlier, assuming the Congo coup was a successful coup, you will have seen the other brother would have come here and said,
well, Honorable Austin, our time is almost up. Our producers are just giving me signals. Once again, thank you so much for being with us. I mean, to help us understand. I'm sure viewers at home, you really, really understand what politics beyond, Nigeria and your country is like. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, it's that time we say we've got to go, but we do hope that you keep a date with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, always right here on LN 24/7. Once again, my name is Mono Banagogo. Many thanks for watching tonight.